Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.
It is Tuesday, January 27th. This is our fourth Talking Memphis Wrestling broadcast of the year 2026. Calvin Lindsay Jr. is in the house, as is Greg, as is Thomas, as is producer award winner Adam Dunn is hitting the buttons, directing this show today, and we appreciate that very much. And this, my friends, is the third show we've done lately. We did a show, the Randy Hales Show Sunday. We did the return of the Power Hour, which will now be a monthly show on Monday nights. We had a great one coming up, and we had a great one that we did last night. We had a lot of fun, but that was then. This is now broadcasting from, as you can tell on this hoodie, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Can you hear this part? Where the Randy Hales story began. And hello, everybody. I appreciate it. As PJ is in the house from Thailand, of all places, and we appreciate it. Calvin Lindsay Jr., my buddy that loved the Power Pro show yesterday, he's from Mississippi. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is a very important show today, because we are back to hardcore. We're back to the original three. We're back how this story began roughly 6 years ago with Talking Memphis Wrestling. And I don't even know if I was calling it Talking Memphis Wrestling at the time. It wasn't what Adam Dunn has built the show to be production-wise. We were audio only. but the crew was together, and the crew together now. Dennis King 7979 says, hello, Randy. Welcome for Memphis Wrestling. As I said, he's the original. As Scott's in the house trying to keep up with all the people watching. I may miss somebody. If so, I apologize for that. And hopefully, if I miss somebody, Adam will realize that and put you on the screen so I can see your comment. He is the original. Where in the world has he been? I don't know where in the world he's been. He's the OG. Hold up just a second by throwing him up on the picture. But first of all, I want to tell my guest, my friend, my buddy, my original something. We got a Talk in Memphis Wrestling going live right now, but still in my head, I can't be more excited about the Power Pro show that we did last night. This is a cue coming up for Adam because we showed a Power Pro show from January the 2nd, 1999. One of the feature matches was Randy Hales against my old enemy, Brandon Baxter. If you were watching the show live, which a lot of you did last night on a special Monday edition of the Power Hour, we were back. I had a very special person watching the show. It's the very last photo that's in the photo section, Adam, and I thought this would be a good lead-in for Pat Trammell's return from the show. This is my great nephew. This is Kai Richardson. So he was intent. He was excited. He was fired up. And he was on Wood Springs Road in Jonesboro, Arkansas, watching Brandon Baxter. And his mama and daddy said that he was mad at some of the stuff that Brandon Baxter was saying to me, but he got excited when I beat the living dog doo-doo out of Brandon Baxter. So Kai Richardson enjoyed that show. Now, another person that would enjoy seeing me knock the heck out of Brandon Baxter is my friend. It's been way too long. It is my plum pleasing pleasure to welcome back to Talking Memphis Wrestling, the OG of Talking Memphis Wrestling. He is a multi-award winning financial guy, banker. He is a wonderful historian of the Civil War, of professional wrestling, and all kinds of other stuff. He's the husband of his wife, Suzanne, the father of Wyatt and of Meg, and he is rolling in to talk to Memphis Wrestling. First take time and his hello and welcome back to my friend, my good friend. Here's Pat Trammell.
Hey everybody, it is so good to be back home. I've the last basketball season I get tied up a little bit in working with my Altamont Knights, but I have missed everybody so much, and it's so good to be home. Kyle Richardson there looks like a little heel already.
I'm telling you for sure. Frank Seaton says hello, Pat.
Hey Frank.
He
Hey to
says
everybody.
Jonesboro Saturday for the first JHS Athletic Hall of Fame inductions, which I'm obviously not in. In fact, the only Hall of Fame that I want is the Memphis Hall of Fame. And Frank Seaton, are you in? Are you going to be inducted into the Jonesboro High School Hall of Fame? I know Don Riggs is. I know Chuck Keller's dad, Charlie Keller, is. I know Don Riggs is. And we appreciate that very good, as Thomas is saying, hello, Pat. Back to Pat Trammell for his hellos, for his BS, and for his first take of the show on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Well, hello everybody, and again, it is so great to be back. I feel like I'm home for sure. PJ and Frank and Thomas and Al and everybody, I am so glad to be with you. And again, during basketball season, I get a little sidetracked, but I'm excited today because of the era we're going to look at, and really, really excited to see that. I hope everybody who's in Northeast Arkansas and Memphis is staying inside and warm. I understand at least in Memphis, it's really still not safe to get out and drive around yet, and hopefully we'll get some weather above freezing tomorrow and things will be normal. But I tell you, I do think, and I'm not diminishing the troubles, difficulties anybody's been through, but I think power has stayed on, at least in Memphis, and I assume with you, Randy, best I could tell when we talked through this, and for a storm of this magnitude, that's a pretty good deal. So good to be
Absolutely.
back. Yeah,
Absolutely. 29 degrees right now in Jonesboro. I slept in a little this morning on purpose because I didn't want to get out driving until it was light outside so I could see what I was running into. It was a great day, made some money. I missed driving. Let's see, I drove Friday and then I missed Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I can understand, I understand from other people I've talked to around your area, Pat, somehow or another. And I've talked to Adam, and Adam didn't get nothing. And I don't think Michael got anything. And I don't think you got anything. So you got lucky, right?
I did. We got really lucky. We didn't have any snow at all. I mean, we it's just been cold, and there was an issue. We thought Sunday we had a I thought we had a lot of rain Saturday, and I was concerned about the roads freezing over, but they dried out, and then it got below freezing, and it's been pretty much that from since since Saturday. But we've been able to get out and around, and no, not a lot of cars having car wrecks and sliding and spinning and all that. And the power stayed on, so we're very fortunate.
We are waiting for Michael St. John to put the three amigos back together again. And I'll tell you what we have on the show today. Some of the things that I decided to go with. I've aired on other shows recently, but certainly, and my man is saying that he's here right now. We will take a look at Joe LeDuc's famous acts program. We will take a look at Batman Adam West debut on Channel 13 TV. We have a great interview in '79 after a 2-year babyface run where Jerry Lawler switched heel. And we also have more on this program today. And if time, we have one of my favorite tag teams of all time, which will be Sweet Brown Sugar, Coco Ware, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton against future fantastic Bobby Fulton and superstar Bill Dundee. Obviously, it was so thrilling to have Pat Trammell here. It's also thrilling, and we've been lucky, as I want to say hello to Greg. It was very icy and snow in Inez, Kentucky. A gentleman that's been several weeks in a row, and I always appreciate it. He's a radio god. He is a Memphis Wrestling class of 2024 Hall of Famer. He is the voice of the introduction video, and only one person on God's green earth can say this, the introduction voice of Hulk Hogan. He was also the only person that can say this as well. He's the introduction voice of the video that Randy West put together that was groundbreaking. It was the debut video of Kamala. He has a resume that includes program director jobs from Nashville, St. Louis, Los Angeles, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee. Did I say Huntsville, Alabama? He is a radio god, and he is here, and he is reteaming with myself, RH, the founder, the owner, the president of Power Pro Wrestling. He is reteaming, he's rejoining with the great Pat Trammell. We bring on to the show on this 27th day of January, our fourth show of the year. As Jeremy says hello, we say back at you. Michael Butler, we say back at you. I'm making this the longest intro that I've ever done in my life, and time has come. Time is near at 13 minutes after 7 to bring in from Arab freaking Alabama. His home is in Alabama, where drinking was forbidden in his southern country home. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm blowed up. So here for his hellos and first takes and whatever else he wants to see is Michael by God St. John.
For the record, drinking was not forbidden in my Italian upbringing on Walker Street in Huntsville, Alabama. In fact, in my collection in the other room, about 5 steps from here, is a bottle unopened of old granddad bourbon from 1959. Probably tastes like crap, and I'll never open it, but I've got it. Weather-wise, hey, we were like Pat. We skipped the bad stuff. Our station in Tennessee, we got blasted up there. They still can't drive. There's ice half an inch thick on the roads in upper middle Tennessee, the Gallatin, Hartselle, Lebanon areas. And had a situation where the old guy that's on the radio 1 hour a day from 9 to 10 called me up Sunday night and said, I can't get to work tomorrow. Well, he lives 3 blocks from the station. I said, put on some galoshes and get your butt in there. But didn't want to risk it. He's older than I am. So I had to sub in yesterday on WTNK on Fun 93.5 and 93.9. But in the meantime, in between time, thank you for the intro, Pat. I saw you on screen there for a minute. I'm trying to read your hat, but it's backwards. It's great to see you, my friend. You look great.
Well, good to see you. Absolutely. Good to be seen. Absolutely good to be seen.
So what is that something about Snowmass? Is that right?
Snowmass, yes.
That's a ski resort, if I'm correct.
It is in Colorado, right outside of Aspen.
Not Massachusetts, by the way.
No.
There you go.
No. Yep.
There you go. Well, it's great seeing you. And Randy, I love that hoodie. Where did I get one?
My sister, bless her heart, got this for me before she passed away. It says Jonesboro, Arkansas, where my story begins. So I can be overwarm because it's 29 degrees in Jonesboro, Arkansas right now. White stuff on the ground. What's the temperature there in Arab, Alabama? As Gary says, it's very icy and snow in Inez, Kentucky. How about there, Michael?
All right. Well, I've got on my computer right now, it is telling me we're at 37 degrees and expected to be 35 by 9 o'clock. So that's where we are. Birmingham, I know, Pat, you guys got some rain. We got some flash flooding up here. I don't know if you got any of that in that area.
We got some rain, but we got it before it turned off cold, so it didn't affect driving any.
By the way, the Snowmageddon, they're saying in Tennessee and my dad's hometown, I talked to a cousin of mine today in Dayton, Ohio, they got 16 inches of snow and are still digging out. But I figured out why this is happening. I have the absolute positive proof that why we are going through this.
Why is that?
It's the fact that Indiana is the national champion of college football. And I always said that hell would freeze over if Indiana would ever win the national championship in football. They won it, and hell froze over.
Yep. I'll tell you what, though, they deserved it. That's a football team right there.
By the way, they released their schedule. You guys will love this, just real quick. They released their schedule for the fall this year. They open up with North Texas, Howard University, which is a historic black college university, and Western Kentucky before they play Northwestern at home. So got a feeling they'll be 3-0 going into the Big Ten schedule?
Yep. Yeah. Then it'll get not real tough.
No, Northwestern, Rutgers, Nebraska, the next 3. Then Ohio State, Michigan, back-to-back. Minnesota, Southern California. And my screen just ran out of room here. I think the last game is against Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Illinois. Yeah, no, Illinois is their next game after that. So anyway, so they got a pretty easy tail to spend there for this follow-up year.
As they defend the national championship. I'm going to ask for your first take in a minute, but Shane's comment, I want Adam to, if he would please, to put that on the screen because he's asking the question, not of mine, not of me, not of the booker, but that's okay, Shane. Maybe you don't want the booker's opinion because I guess you know who I booked. Pat Michael. If you would start a new Memphis Wrestling promotion, which current wrestler would you select to be the new king of Memphis? And I'll let Pat answer that question after we say hello to Bo James, who left Alabama earlier in the day, and he's back in East Tennessee, and that's good as well. Pat, that question from Shane, who would be your new king of Memphis?
Shane, that's a really, really, really good question. I'd want it to be somebody. I don't know if there's anybody with deep Memphis roots in one of the major promotions right now. I'd want them to have Southern roots, I think. I'm stumped.
It's because you and Michael and me don't really keep up, especially with young up-and-coming wrestlers. We all maybe watch TNA. Maybe.
I'll tell you where I'd start. He's still working. I'd start with Jeff.
As the new king of Memphis? Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is a good answer.
Heel Jeff. Absolute heel Jeff.
Michael and I can agree with that for sure. Michael?
No, Pat stole my thunder. I was thinking the exact same thing. I mean, and when you think about it, we've been together so long, we sort of think alike anyway. So, Pat, that's a great answer. I was about to give it. That's okay.
I would start it with heel Jeff, and then I'd have Lawler come in with a young guy that he brings up like Fargo did Lawler. How about that?
I don't think, to be honest with you, and Randy, I don't know if you agree with this or not. I don't know if any startup promotion in just a given small area, and Memphis is a given small area compared to the rest of the world, is even viable in this day and time. I look at some of the independent wrestling, and not all of it is what Jimmy Cornette says, the drizzling shits. Some of the independent wrestling does a pretty damn good job. And we have somebody in the crowd right now, or could be on screen with us, in Bo James. I witnessed it in person. He's got some talent that he's doing with his folks and his company. So, but I don't know if just you lock into an old territory town, excuse me, and try to build a dynasty or build a territory. I don't know if that's possible in this day and time.
But what does that?
I don't know enough, even though I talked to Bo for maybe 40 minutes a day on the phone. Bo, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm going to, and you can just cuss me if it's not public. Anyway, he went to a wrestling promotion. It's an independent that runs every other Friday, I believe he says, and he's saying they have a production room and a production facility. Hey, Richard Hood, in Alabama, and Adam or Michael, you might be able to give more information. I don't know exactly where it is. Scott Armstrong is running that thing, and Bo is very, very, very impressed with that. So it's profitable. They don't try to do too much. It's basically based around young people. Bo's bride is one of the stars on that thing. By the way, Sir Scratch Off Tracy, hello. What's going on with you? Hope you're safe driving that BS truck. And also somebody 4376 says Trevor Murdoch, who I like, old school looks, and he would be a good fit in Memphis. And Gary says no one else could be Jerry the King Lawler, AWA World Champion, WCCW World Champion. So that's a good question that was asked to us. And Michael, I agree with you. It would be awful hard to do a local territory type of wrestling. Can you imagine the cost? What would the cost now going on, let's say, going on Channel 2 in Nashville for an hour, or going on Channel 12 in Chattanooga for an hour? What would be the cost of running because there's no building. The building we used to run in Nashville's not there, but the Chattanooga auditorium is still there. How much would it cost to rent that? Or the Huntsville Coliseum? How much would it cost to run that? Not feasible, I don't think.
Huntsville Coliseum is now the Von Braun Center, and it's very expensive. But the cost of television, believe it or not, is dropping. And in most markets, television stations are going through what radio did prior to COVID, now are going into it, because what's stealing television's thunder is this thing right here, and on-demand TV, right here at my fingertips. I can watch anything and everything right here on demand. And so, I think we're talking about two different things. I think producing a show and getting it on media via a television station or via the internet or however.
This platform.
This platform, exactly, is very possible, but the sustainability of that, because what's going to drive that is either A, a pay-per-view, a pay platform, or B, advertising. And right now, both of those are, the pay-per-view platform is disintegrating because everything's going subscription via Netflix, via Prime, via Tubi, all that stuff that's out there. I've got a monitor over here. Pat and I were talking about this when we had lunch a while back. I bought a monitor last year, and this is a Samsung monitor, or I'm sorry, it's an LG monitor. It's a 28-inch monitor, maybe a 32, but it's a monitor. And I've got all of those platforms on my home screen. I've got a little thing right here, and I go to my home screen, and I can watch LG channels, which are free, which are on this part of the TV, Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, Sling, Apple TV, YouTube, HBO Max, Tubi, Pluto TV, and then several other portals that are up there. I can add apps to it as well. Alexa TV, which is, I guess, pretty new, plus ESPN and all those things at the flip of a switch. And more than half of it is free, but the good stuff, like Netflix, you got to pay for. So I think from that aspect, you can get it exposed, but I think the sustainability over time being that, right now on anybody's phone, we can pull up a wrestling show, whether it's live, what's on Tuesday night, TNA, I think it is. We can watch that. We can go back and watch last night's Raw. We can watch anything on YouTube. It's a glut out there, and I think it would be very difficult. Now, just going back to what you said about Bo, I believe that Scott Armstrong's deal, if I'm not mistaken, is out of the Anniston, Oxford area, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's in South Alabama.
Oh,
Let's go ahead, and Bo has a couple of comments out there. His first comment, Adam, if you will put that on, that he said, and the Diamond Championship Wrestling in Theodore, Alabama, ran by Scott Armstrong and his partner Brent, who's in charge of the production. Bo also has a second comment. He says in a large amount of markets, TV time is $50 to $100 a half an hour. The production and closed caption is more than the TV time. It's a different world. I don't know what platform that I would do. I just know that I wouldn't do this show that it was taped in advance. I wouldn't do a wrestling show taped in advance. You can go live worldwide in just a second. And again, we have Robert saying we've been starting to get a lot more wrestling companies here in Arkansas. And certainly Gary says now Gary Damon and ASW Wrestling in Madison, West Virginia have some old school wrestling. So that is a wonderful thing. But this is Talking Memphis Wrestling. Michael, you were here last week. We showed it. Pat wasn't. Pat seen it before. So for one of the classic of all time. It is, as a matter of fact, we didn't watch it last week. That's coming up in a few minutes. I played it on the Randy Hill show. This is 4 minutes, 3 seconds. This is the most terrifying heel in the history of Memphis Wrestling with the most terrifying promo in the history of Memphis Wrestling. This is 4 minutes, 3 seconds. This is Joe LeDuc, the Canadian Lumberjack, with the axe right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Pat and Michael back.
Jimmy and Johnny going against Dundee and Nelson Royal, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion. LeDuc against Lawler. And that's the action Monday.
1978.
Well, hey, come on now, Joe. We've had enough trouble in the studio here. And Joe LeDuc, who will be challenged.
I'm tired of having anybody and everybody say that I'm sick and I'm crazy. Shut up, I gotta talk to you. Jerry Lawler, you said on this television right here that I was afraid to come here because you were here. Well, I'm gonna show you, punk. I'm here, and now is better than ever. Come and get me. Come and get me. And now, Jerry Jarrett, yeah, you're my boss. You want to fire me? That's fine. But nobody is going to stop me from going to that Coliseum Monday night. You can fire me anytime you want after Monday night. Jerry Lawler, you just saw that film. You just paid how much money you paid those people to show that film where you double-crossed me. I had you beat right down the middle. Yeah, I got a busted head. I got a busted head, Jerry Lawler. So what? I had a busted head when I was born. So who cares? But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, Jerry Lawler. You tell everybody how crazy I am. I'm going to show you I'm not that crazy. I'm going to take a note. You know what that is? Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. In the lumber camp in Canada, when you do something very important, when you want to do something very important, you take a note. And you make a scar on your body somewhere to remind you in case you don't do it, and to remind you not to look at yourself in the mirror. Never! Well, I'm going to do it now, boy. I'm going to show you, punk. This is an axe, and this is an arm.
Watch
I'm going to
left.
show you, punk. I'm going to cut my arm. And if I don't do what I tell you Monday night, I'll never be able to look at myself in the mirror as long as I live. But I'm going to do it. Now, Jerry Lawler, you hear this. Jerry Lawler, you hear this. Right now, Jerry Lawler, I'm going to mess up your face. And that's the last match I lost with you, Jerry Lawler. Look like that. All right. You see it right here. Look at it, boy. Now, do me a favor. Do me a favor, Jerry Lawler. Do not show up Monday night at that Coliseum, because this car right here, it's going to get you hurt. It's going to get you hurt. It's going to get you hurt. And after the match, Jarrett, you can fire me.
Okay, man, the guy just loses touch with reality. That's all there is to it. He did it. And, well, anyhow, Monday night, that will be Lawler's problem. Tickets available all day till 5 o'clock today, all day on Monday. We got more wrestling action coming up, and we're going to see the King coming in here.
And we will go for his first take out of that video From Birmingham, Alabama, Pat Trammell. Did it make you tell the truth, Pat? When you saw that graphic thing, did you turn your head or did you shut your eyes?
I didn't want to watch, but I wanted to watch, but I didn't want to watch. I'll tell you, that's like one of the most intense promos I've ever seen. I something entered my mind, and Randy, I don't know if you were around then or Michael either, but what was Leduc like out of the ring
He was the
and out of the
nicest human
studio?
being in the history of the world. Did Did you see the young man in the wheelchair on the back row at that TV
Yeah, yeah.
studio? That was somebody that Joe basically adopted a fan, and he would, the dreaded heel, the Psycho Joe LeDuc, had a custom van, and he would go every Saturday morning to a neighborhood in Memphis and pick up that young handicapped man and take him to TV every Saturday. One of the
Wow.
nicest men in the world, and just unbelievable. And I wanted to look at the information. Joe was born in 1944. He passed away in 1999 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was 54 years old. He last appeared in Louisville and also in Memphis in Memphis Memory 2 and The Night to Remember in Louisville in 1995. I don't know how much you were around Joe LeDuc because around the time you were getting going, a year before the debut Hogan video, but name me, this is a question to start with Michael, then he can take it wherever he wants to take it. Name me a heel in professional wrestling right now that's more scary than Joe LeDuc, because I don't think you can name anybody.
Well, for the era that Joe was, absolutely. And by the way, I echo those. I got a chance to work with Joe a couple of times. Kindest man in the world. Bought me, I'll never forget this, bought me a Coca-Cola one time and brought it into the dressing room. He says, in case your throat gets dry, you may need this, and so he was a great, God bless him. But in this day and time, some of the Samoan, like Solo Sikoa, I think I'm thinking about as somebody scary looking. But the era of scary wrestlers has been diminished greatly because they're all trapeze artists. But look at the era that Joe came out of. Abdullah the Butcher, the Sheik, Dick the Bruiser, the Crusher, One Man Gang. There were some characters that were just scary. The Medics with Ken Ramey, they were scary. I don't think scary is a big thing in wrestling anymore, but I don't know if there is anybody that could stand in the shadow of a Joe LeDuc. I really don't.
No doubt about it. It's just so interesting. Scott saying, did they sell out that week? I don't know if they did or not. I'm not sure on the date of that. Gary says the bad guys in wrestling are really the nicest guy in wrestling. In most cases, that's true. Shane says he was 7 years old when LeDuc cut that promo, and he scared me. Hell, I'm 64 years old, and it scares me every time I see it. Ox Baker was scary looking.
You're absolutely right.
Well,
Mongolian Stomper.
Right,
oh
Richard.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we have photos of Mongolian Stomper a little later on. I'm going to do something we don't do enough on this show. I'm going to try to sell some tickets, generate some money because, again, Adam runs this scroll every week. I don't pay attention. I got somebody sent money to my Venmo, which is used on production, on research for different things involving this show. There's a subscription to the Restream service that we pay every week, and people ask me again, how can we help make sure we keep the show going, that sort of thing. And you can see in that scroll the PayPal and the Cash App and the Venmo. Also, I want you to put the picture up we showed earlier, Adam. Last night, Michael, I don't know if you were on to see this, but last night, for the first time in almost a year, we played a Power Pro Wrestling show we used to do on Monday night, the January 2nd 1999 program. And my 5-month-old great nephew, Kai Richardson. Kai was he was mad at Brandon Baxter for talking bad at he didn't call me Uncle Randy. Well, he don't talk at all, but what he will call me is Uncle Bub. That's what all his dad did and his uncle did and his aunt did. That's what they all do, Uncle Bub. He was intent there, and he popped Corbin, his dad said, when I was nailing that Brandon Baxter. And then when I got cheated by Billy Travis, he got so mad and he cried. But what he did later, I got a Venmo from Kai Richardson. Now, I would imagine his mama or daddy helped him, because I don't know if any 5-month-old can do that. But folks, anybody want to help a brother out, and this is not a hard sell type of program, but I'm very proud of the show. We are too. How about it, Michael? Old Kai enjoying Power Pro Wrestling last night.
Hey, that's a thank you. I like that. I heard you talk about that before you went on with Pat earlier, but I think that's classic reaction of young kids. You know, my grandson has gotten into wrestling when he's over here and we watch it. He's asking questions and he gets into it. He knows the bad guys from the good guys, and he got his ring at Christmas time, his kick out ring, and every time he comes over here now, Papa and him have to play. And you know, I love, but and that's a great thing, because I think the future of the business, without a doubt, is the young people. If the young people doesn't feed the business from the underbelly, then the business disappears. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad to see him get emotionally involved over his Uncle Randy getting his ass beat.
Now, Michael is throwing another thing at me when we're talking about promos. One thing we never promo on this show very much, and I will now. This is Living the Dream, and this is the only copy. I meant to order them last night. I told Pat on the phone I was going to, and I didn't get around to it. You can go to Amazon, search for Living the Dream, and then once you get it, if you send it to me, I'll sign it. But I'm going to order books, and I bet it'll be 3 or 4 weeks before I get them. I'm down to one. I'm down to one book, Randy Hill's Living the Dream, and eventually, if you want to just go ahead and order it, and then I can certainly send this one out, but I will make that order. Go to RandyHalesMemphisWrestling.com, and you can go ahead and order that. And you see all the stuff here. As Ahmad Jones is watching the show, you can get a handle of that for sure. Michael, did we have you do a first take, or do you have anything in your mind?
Hey, I'm good. I think I've babbled enough, and I'm ready to get on with the show. But I'm thrilled that Pat's back with us. Now I'm having at times to make trips to Tuscaloosa with our daughter Mia down there, and Mia's discovered just about every bar in Tuscaloosa in their first 3 weeks, and I'm sure that is prominent for a freshman. But anyway, I'm rotating now as I go through Birmingham. If I'm going during the day, I'm calling Pat and saying, hey, you want to have lunch? I'm calling Frank Jardina, Frank Lewis over at Cumulus, and saying, hey, you want to have lunch? Or calling my cousin Lewis. So I'm sort of making that rotation. So Pat, I'm coming back to you pretty soon, and we got to hit Nicky's West. I haven't been there, and I'm getting a Jones for my Nicky's West.
We're going to go with the photos of the week on this show, Talking Memphis Wrestling, on the 27th day of January. We just started January, and now we're about over with it. We're going to start with 5143, and this is where the gentleman we are going to show right now, this is the youngest picture I've ever seen of this gentleman, without a doubt. And I will go ahead and get us started, Adam, if you can't figure. And it's 5141 is the name, and I got that wrong. 5141, and believe it or not, Pat, this is Big Lean Mean Al Green.
Really?
He was born around 1930, passed away around the year of 2014 in his 80s. This is Big Mean Al Green. Your thoughts, Pat? Would have guessed it?
I would not have guessed it. Uh, we were talking, Michael was talking earlier, and we were talking about Joe Ledoux and real heels in the day. And, some of the first wrestling I went to in Birmingham, Al and Don were the heel of all heels. And this is an odd thing, and I don't know if it makes any sense to you, but when I think of the Greens, I get the smell of a VFW because those were like the old guys I remember in the VFW with their hair slicked back, drinking beers and smoking cigarettes, and just badasses.
Adam wrote us
Cigars,
a Adam wrote us a message
cigars
on
and
a
beer.
private chat where he says he looks like Archie Bunker.
Yeah, that's a good
Harold
point.
Honor.
Yeah.
So, Michael, have you ever seen this picture?
I have seen this picture, and that was before. He actually shaved his head. He didn't lose his hair. He actually shaved his head. Don, I think, was going bald, and I think to make him look more heelish, Al originally shaved his head. And then, we always knew him as he grew, if you would, from that. But, yeah, I can see that being Al Green.
Next picture, Adam, and this is one of the great heel tag teams of all time. This is a little bit older Al Green with Don Green and their manager, Sir Steve Clemens. Sir Steve Clemens, I didn't realize until I was doing research for this. He was born in 47. He passed away in 76. I think his last run in Memphis with the Greens and other teams was late 75 to early 76. He died in Ohio after being up in Canada. Brute Bernard was driving the car and he was being managed by Sir Steve Clemens. Here's a thing that I was just curious about because I didn't get Birmingham TV or Huntsville TV. Pat, did you see much of Sir Steve Clemens?
I did not see a lot of Sir Steve Clemens at all. I don't recall. I mean, I remember the name, but I don't know that I ever saw him live.
Michael, I think you wanted to say something.
No, I was just waving. But anyway, he was a Weasley guy. And I always thought that he tried to be Saul Weingroff down here, and he couldn't be Saul Weingroff. But he was an Englishman. He was a Weasley kind of guy, and he died. He died in a car crash. Is that correct?
Yes, with Brute
Bernard.
Bernard driving in Ohio, and he was 28 years old. I didn't realize he looks older than 28 in that picture.
I didn't realize he was that young either. But yeah, I'll
Yeah,
tell you
I
though.
saw Weingroff and Ken Ramey, and those were probably the major managers I saw in Birmingham. Michael, is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And Saul Weingroff, he pissed off everybody in Birmingham. As you may or may not realize, he told people on TV that he bought a house in Mountain Brook. And Mountain Brook, of course, is the well-to-do neighborhood, the old money neighborhood, if you would, of Birmingham. And he pissed off more people. And he said, well, I'm going in. And he says, I'm going to start, and I will never forget this. He says, I'm going to start raising chickens in my backyard. And I heard from Sterling Brewer years ago, is he said, of all the controversies they ever had on Channel 42 Live Wrestling, one of the biggest complaints they ever got, a series of complaints, the following Monday after Saturday night, and Saul Weingroff telling people that he was going to raise chickens in Mountain Brook, was the fact that they were going to pass an ordinance in Mountain Brook, which is, I guess, is still its own community, right, Pat? It's its own identity. They were going to pass an ordinance that you couldn't have live chickens in your house or at your house in Mountain Brook. So he was over. But everybody I ever ran into in Birmingham, and this goes into when I was in radio in Birmingham, that remember Saul Weingroff despised the guy. Totally over.
Next picture on Talking Memphis Wrestling, and I think you'll be interested in this, and I can't wait because Lynn Rossi, Pat, and Michael saw a lot more than I did because not too long after I started being interested in wrestling, he had that car wreck. Plus, he was a bigger star in the Nashville end than he was the Memphis end. Even though he was a star in the Memphis end, he had an Italian restaurant. It's called Lynn Rossi's Italian Sauce House. And I don't know exactly where it is. It says try our Rossi dog, and it says sandwiches. And there's Saul Weingroff pointing his cane, and one of the Von Bronners, I don't know if that is Carl or Kurt, but what do you know? We'll go with Michael first. What do you know about Lynn Rossi's Italian Sauce House? I'm assuming in Nashville.
And I want to say it was in the Franklin Road area. I'm not, or Nolensville Road area. It was short-lived. I know that. And he did this before he opened up his health food store, which he was very successful at. So that was in the very early days. I'm going to say this picture has to be early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. I don't remember. I went to college. I started at Vanderbilt in 69. I don't remember Rossi having a restaurant in 69, although that may have been his last year.
What's the deal with people in the Nashville territory opening up failed restaurants?
Tojo had two of them.
Lorenzo Perini had one that lasted forever.
Oh, Lorenzo's place over on Woodland. He was at Woodland and Woodmont Boulevard and Nolensville Road, right across from St. Edwards in the little park there. He had a great Italian. I ate there many times, and he'd come over and say hello and everything. But his food was incredible.
Where was Lynn's health food store?
In Brentwood.
I know, but what road was that on?
He was at Old Hickory Boulevard and Franklin Road.
Yeah,
he was on the right side. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if he had that land, if he owned that property, he made millions, or would have made millions. I hope if he did, they kept it and sold it in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
It was a vitamin shop, Richard. I spent an afternoon in there with him. That's one of the best days of my life.
Exactly. And just for the record, being Italian, it's written all over my nose, but in Italy, sauce is not recognized. It's gravy. What we call in the United States pasta sauce or spaghetti sauce. In Italy, it's called gravy. And so for the record.
Yeah.
One of the things we had somebody, if we liked Tommy Rich as a heel in wrestling, I liked him no matter what in the world he was doing. Our buddy Al Tuttle is in the house. You were mentioned on the Randy Hale Show Sunday because I had Craig Miller as a guest, and you had sent him a book, a religious book, Al, and he showed it on the air. So you can go ahead and go back and look at that as well. Interesting conversation, and we'll go with the very next image we have, Adam. This is at the restaurant, and this, I guess, which Von Bronner is this? Any idea, Michael or Pat?
That's Carl. That's Carl. Yeah, that's Carl.
Saul and Lynn Rossi, do you think they were going to make problems there at Lynn Rossi's?
I think this is a shot to indicate that, yes. No, yeah, I hate, and I'm sure it's not who it is, but from the side there, that almost looks like Christine Jarrett.
Absolutely, I was thinking the same thing, but then I don't think it is. But way back, do you think that might have been the late '60s?
Definitely the late 60s. I was going to say 68, 69, maybe. I'm reading the sign backwards. Spaghetti and 8 meatballs. I bet you it cost $1.99.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. Absolutely wonderful stuff. And we have some remarkable pictures here on Talking Memphis Wrestling on our 4th show of the year as we have the return of Michael St. John, Pat Trammell, and me, Randy Hills, doing it to it. And right now we will go to the very next picture as we can go. And we showed a video last week, and this is, of course, the day in 1976 where Jerry Lawler became the Super King, and Batman Adam West was on TV. That Batman show starring, help me out here, it was starring Adam West, who passed away in 2017 at 88 years old. Robin was Burt Ward, who's still living at 80 years old, and we're going to go ahead and go back to that day in the 70s, and I think this was probably 75 or 76. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds when Batman, Super King, when it all happened at the Howland Drive studio of WHBQ TV, as we watch now with Michael
And
Pat.
one of those visitors, a very special one from Gotham City, who we'll meet in just a moment. You're going to be in town all this weekend, is that correct?
Yes, I am, and thank you very much. I must apologize. I didn't have a ticket. Kids, don't do as I just did. I sneaked in because I'm on a case. And I'm working undercover. That's why I'm not wearing my complete outfit. Right. I wanted to be inconspicuous. I didn't want anyone to recognize me. But there is a rumor that Mr. Freeze and Penguin are here in Memphis because of the radical change in the weather, and that they have a hookup with the evil king of Memphis, who just might be wrestling here this morning.
Wait a minute. Do you know who this is?
Is that who I think it is?
Yes, it is. What is this?
Well, what does it look like? Tell me, what does it look like? I heard he was going to be here today, so I dressed appropriately. That's what it is, the Super King. What else?
Okay, you say maybe you're going to be able to give us some help with this guy here. You're on the case, and I think we're going to need all the help we can get with the King.
Well, now, I've heard he's had his troubles with the Joker and the Penguin and Mr. Freeze, but he hadn't handled the King yet. And I got somebody in a box that I'm going to bring out here in just a few minutes that'll make a Joker look like Mickey Mouse, I can tell you that.
I've heard about your box, but I want to say that costume that you're wearing, if you are indeed the evil king of Memphis, has been stolen from a friend of mine, Soup. Superman, I call him Soup. Right. And I think that Spider-Man, Spidey Baby, would probably object too. By the way, looking at you, I don't think it's too late for you. I think that possibly, if you change some of your habits, some of your methods of wrestling, if you used your left and right turn indicator in your car, did other things that people normally do when they're polite and courteous, and you weren't such a naughty, mean person, it wouldn't be too late for you.
And I can see that you're not familiar with these rednecks that we have around here. That's exactly right.
I tell you what, gentlemen,
They
I
look
think...
like splendid people to me, and they're Bat fans. I know they are. And I think it's insulting to call them rednecks.
I think maybe we better settle this elsewhere. And again, both of
I
you are
got to
going to
get
be
Dr.
at
Frank in here anyway.
both of you are going to be down at the Cook Convention Center at the car show all this weekend, and maybe you can settle it there. Batman, appreciate you coming by, and
Thank you very
any
much.
help you can
He's
give
not
us
a nice
with the
man,
King
is
here.
he?
No, he is not. He has some nasty habits, as you say, and maybe he'll change some of
Yes,
them.
I feel that it's possible that we could help rehabilitate him, possibly in Gotham.
All right, one of the classic of all times from the Channel 13 studio, and got to start with Pat Trammell. Your thoughts of this? I told you the other day, sometimes I think that I play video too much, but obviously we have different audiences every week, and plus, when something that's good, how do you not show it? It's a part of Memphis wrestling history. Your thoughts, Pat?
Well, I mean, that's just, the first thing I thought is I wonder what they had to pay him. And number two, that's so far ahead of its time. You think about that. It was the 80s before Vince was bringing people from Hollywood and sitcoms and all that into wrestling, right? Cyndi
Yes.
Lauper, all that kind of stuff. This is just groundbreaking stuff.
Michael St. John, as we're rocking and rolling. I think everybody knows Pat's in a great mood. The audience in a good mood. I'm in a great mood. Michael's in a great mood because the clique, the team, we're back together again. Michael, do you ever get tired of seeing that piece of business?
No, I don't. And I just want to say something to Pat. I don't think they paid Adam. I don't think they paid him any money to begin with because it was a promo for the Memphis Car Show, who was already running commercials on WHBQ Channel 13. So I thought it was it's one of those things where the guy comes in and gets, they put him on different shows, and like they do, what they call it now, the car wash. They put him through all the different to get it out there. I think that's what that was about.
And Mr. Coffee was the manager of Cook Convention Center. That card show was at the Cook Convention Center, so I'm sure this was a Jerry Lawler idea, and he went to Mr. Coffee and said, hey, talk to the promoter and say, hey, we can put them on the most popular television show in the Memphis market to plug the thing, and they did, and it was successful, and it's just a great deal. And man, I can tell you people, I'll play that again. As we kind of change territory, somebody that I never saw live, but the next picture that we have is 5151, I believe. And if we can go to that, and it's following the Batman picture. And this is the original Nature Boy. This is the great Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. He was born February the 20th, 1921 in Camden, New Jersey. One of the early stars of professional wrestling on the national TV networks. He passed away June the 26th, 1992 at 71 years old in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The cause of death was a stroke. His full name was Herman Gustav Rode Jr. He was 6 foot tall. He was 235 pounds. Went with Pat first the last time. Michael, will go to you as being a person a little older than me, a little older than Pat, because I'm older than Pat. Anyway,
rub it in.
Hey, I'm making a point. You just saw more than we do, and you remember you remember the days when there wasn't a TV. I'm sure you do. Do you?
I don't know if I remember the days. I remember we always had one of the little black and white TVs in a big cabinet and had a screen about that big when I first remembered TV. He is one of the people, honest to goodness, I would have always loved to have met or called a match for. I thought Buddy Rogers, I don't know if he appeared in this area even in his heyday a lot. I think he came through here sort of like Luthez did on the backside of his career. But I just finished his book about 2 months ago, and it's a very good read. And he's one of these stars. And when I have seen the old black and white videos or film on him, he really looked like a guy that could really work. And I respect those guys. They're the ones that laid the groundwork. They're the ones that put the underpinning for what we have today.
Pat, your thoughts on Nature Boy Buddy Rogers?
Well, I'm stealing this from Adam. He does look a little bit like Lance Russell in that picture. And Al, I have not read a book on Buddy Rogers. I would like to. I have, as Michael has. I've seen some video of him, and for the day, he was really a lot more athletic and a lot less brawler like. And a lot, and I want to try to frame this well. He was a lot less. He was somewhere between a scientific wrestler and a real brawler. He was maybe the first acrobat, if you will. Michael, is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, and in his book, a couple of things came out. Number one, he did promos sort of kind of like Gorgeous George, but without the pomp and circumstance, without the bobby pins and the gregarious outfits and things like that. And it's really, and I'm looking at this picture, and in the book it comes out, he was one of the first wrestlers in the ring to use baby oil before he went into the ring to work. And people say, well, number one, it gives a shine, especially if you've got a tan body, it gives a shine to it. But I've always heard that the use of oil by wrestlers made it easy to work because of what moves they had to make. Are you familiar with that, Randy?
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know because I've never worn daggum body oil on my body wrestling. But anyway, it makes sense. But
you didn't go to the prom with Lisa Rose then.
I've used some body oil before. It had nothing to do we were wrestling, but it was a whole different scenario.
Oh no! Hey, this is
that was in the L.A. radio days.
That was in my Birmingham radio days, Pat. That's what I did.
This is a G-rated
cheerleaders from Bessemer Academy were something else, let me tell you.
G-rated show.
Twins were awesome too.
Adam turned it into an X-rated show yesterday, but we'll move away from that, and we will now go to the very next picture, and we talk about this guy that I never met a lot, and we will follow up the Buddy Rogers picture because it was last week, Michael. One day, I believe last week, that we saw this, remembering Nick Gulas, because he passed away in January of 1992, if memory serves me correct. And you're
actually,
our
it's 91, sir.
91. So you're our resident Nick Gulas expert, and that's a good picture.
It is a great picture of Nick, and Tony Richards had some great stuff on Nick during his Welch. I want to say trilogy, but trilogy times 3. And by the way, if you have an opportunity, if you haven't listened to any of that, Pat, I think you'll agree with me. It's one of the most well done series on any wrestling family I have ever witnessed on TV, on radio, on podcast ever. Bring It Up with Tony Richards, and it's really awesome. Oh, there's a comment by Tony right now about if there's no Buddy Rogers, there's no Sam Munchnick. But Nick Gulas, ironically, he had his office in 3 hotels in Nashville during the heyday. The offices of Nick Gulas, Roy Welch Enterprises Wrestling was originally in the Maxwell House Hotel that burned on Christmas night in like 61. He moved catty-cornered across the street at 4th and Church, catty-cornered across the street to the Knoll Hotel, which burned later. And once it burned, he moved to the Sam Davis Hotel down on Commerce Street before he built the building out on Franklin Road. But, and a lot of people, they throw a lot of shade on Nick, and I'm one that doesn't because of my experiences with him. But I think Nick was part P.T. Barnum and part, wrestling promoter. And I think he for what he did, I think Roy was the power behind the on-camera guy and was the throne, if you would. But I think he needed a P.T. Barnum type in Nick Gulas to get it over, and I think Nick did a good job of that.
Hey, Adam, if you would, go ahead and put my email address up on the screen right now. And Pat, me and you the other day when we had our lengthy talk when I was snowed in, and we were talking about that great series on Briscoe and Bradshaw, those great stories they're doing, and the feature that Mr. Tony Richards did. And we appreciate him watching the show, and Pat made it known to me that he has watched the show. We'd love to have Tony on this show anytime you can do it, and all I have to do is send you a link because the link changes every week. My email is randybittenhales@gmail.com. Pat and Michael both, I think you're familiar with both of them. They both have my phone number that I just soon not put out there on a worldwide thing, but my email, randybittenhales@gmail.com. So Pat, we needed to get that done, and I'd love to have Tony Richards as a special part of the show, only if it's on a week that Michael and Pat Trammell and myself can be here. Comments about just that fantastic series that's going on now, Pat Trammell?
Well, the depth of it is, I mean, it goes back to the roots of wrestling in West Texas to the original Dutch Mantel. And, Ron Fuller has been on the last couple of episodes and talks about, Buddy's, or Roy Welch's childhood and everything else. And, when I get I got a very different view of Nick through the series there. And, Nick made Roy Welch a lot of money and handled a lot of stuff. And I think we're Memphis Wrestling. We're here to talk about Memphis Wrestling, and rightfully so. And Nick and Jerry didn't have a particularly good relationship for obvious reasons, but the growth of that territory, and the at one time, Roy Welch was promoting over most of the United States, and was obviously the biggest, most legendary promoter there has ever been. And I would say, after I've heard this, I would say more impressive than Vince McMahon. And, it's been a very, very fascinating thing to listen to.
From the era that it occurred and what he had done and what he did nationwide, it's incredible. And I think you're absolutely right, Pat. I also think that he gave a lot of power to the NWA and to Sam Munchnick's office in St. Louis by what he was doing, literally, like you say, all over the country. So I agree with that, Tony, totally. And I want to say this about Tony. Tony and I also share the fact that we are alumnus of Zimmer Broadcasting. When I was programming in St. Louis, and Tony was the vice president of programming for our company. He's a great radio guy as well, and I love what he does, because unlike this show where we are throwing out all sorts of ideas, he's got his is like a series, if you would, and he really outkicked his coverage and did a great job on this Welch family history thing.
So the invitation is out there. Pat, follow up. Michael, follow up. And my address is randybentonhales@gmail.com. Tony, we would love sooner and later we can let you talk about whatever in the world you want to talk about. If you want to deep dive some more into the Welch family, whatever is your passion to talk about professional wrestling. And he hadn't commented lately, so I don't know if he's still watching, but we'd appreciate that very much. As we look at the next picture, followed, that's what we saw, Nick Gula's picture, and we'll go with the very next picture. And Adam, we are going with the fabulous Jackie Fargo in 1995 in Louisville, Kentucky, at Night to Remember, summer of 1995. And I don't know if you've ever seen this picture, Michael, a wonderful picture of Miss Christine Jarrett, a.k.a. Teeny, and the man that's often duplicated.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Scott is asking, where can I listen to to Tony Richard? Wherever you get your podcast, go to Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw. Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw, and just look at the list. And I think there's a nine-part figure.
It's into 12 now, I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Scott, if you go to YouTube and just Google Bradshaw and Briscoe, their podcast series will come up, and you can start at part 1. It's very well laid out, and just go from there.
Could we flip that picture back up of Miss Jarrett and Jackie for just a second?
Yes.
They're wearing the same glasses.
Yeah, they really are, yeah.
Man, you're observant.
Hey, I had my vitamins today.
Well, I have a thought of what happened to you today, but this is a G-rated show, and we won't be there, and that's a fantastic picture. And I think
I wanted to say, Gail said hey to me. I wanted to say hey to Gail.
Talked to Gail the other day, I think Sunday. I love Gail, crazy Gail, no doubt about it. And I need, not this next picture we'll show, the next two, I want Michael to take lead on this. This is 51, 54. We'll go with next. And here's Michael St. John.
Channel 12, WDEF TV in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Wrestling Saturday at 5 o'clock from the studios of Channel 12 down on Market Street with your commentator, Harry Thornton.
Great, great picture as we go to the next picture. And I won't help with this because I think I know who the little boy is, the little man, but I am not sure at all. So describe this picture with Nick Goulas. And did we lose Michael?
No, I'm
No, I
here.
think
I'm
he's
just
thinking.
seeing the same picture.
This is Nick Goulas and a little boy.
Okay, I'm looking at a live wrestling show that says WDEF TV on an old time TV.
Yeah, we showed that, and you described that, and we're in another picture.
Okay, it's not on my screen.
Is it now?
No.
Pat, what are you seeing?
It's on everybody else's screen. I see a picture of Nick, and you don't see this anymore. I want to bring this back. I want to bring back short sleeve shirts and ties.
Let me hold on. Let me refresh here and see if that does.
You know that kid looks familiar.
Is it George?
I don't think it is.
Because I think, the picture behind Nick's chair, that's George. That's was George, my question. And this was all designed for Michael's help, and now Michael can't help.
I've got it now. I refreshed, and I've got it now. It ain't one of my kids, so you got me on that.
And it's not George, because isn't that George in the background?
Yes, sir, it is. It is.
The next picture I'm talking, that's a cool picture, don't you agree?
I agree.
Even though neither one of us know who it is.
And it also shows Nick's softer side. That's funny because when Chris would come, my son would come when he was little to Wednesday night's tapings. Nick would stop what he was doing and go and greet Chris, and Chris would sit on his lap, and Nick would give him a $5 bill every Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night.
That is pretty darn cool. And we talked about this next person as we're going to with another picture right now. I'm talking Memphis Wrestling, and this is Three Faces of the Stomper, Pat.
I have seen in the past years, I saw, the first time I ever saw the Mongolian Stomper was on Georgia Championship Wrestling, probably in the late 70s, early 80s, and they didn't use him that well. He was basically basically just a pounder. But I've seen him since, obviously, in some film in Memphis, and he was a really, really athletic guy. Very good athlete.
That ended up a jailer in the Knoxville, Tennessee area for the last maybe close to 30 years of his life. Your thoughts on Archie the Stomper Goldie, however you pronounce that, Michael?
Well, I think they made his character out of El Mongol, and Archie. I always thought he was a better wrestler. I really did. I saw him primarily. I saw him in Atlanta a little bit, as Pat did, but I saw him on the Memphis side and the Nashville side, and he was scary. I mean, he was one of those scary-looking guys we were talking about, and he could work, and he was a really, really nice guy. By the way, Richard wanted to know if Nick Goulas ever wrestled. He never wrestled. Of course, George did.
Adam, as I have to run outside for about 30 seconds, and Michael, you and Pat take the lead, and Michael, production side, you take the lead and go with the next picture.
Okay. Just FYI, the belt that the Mongolian Stomper was wearing, that is the old Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship belt.
Okay.
So we're going to the next picture. Miss Lillian Carter, of course, the mother of former President Jimmy Carter, is with Mr. Wrestling #2. They were big wrestling fans, I understand, Pat.
Yeah, they were. She particularly was, and wrestling too. And in when Jimmy was governor, he was the big baby face in Georgia, in Atlanta. And when Jimmy was elected, she wanted him to be invited to the White House, and he was invited to the White House, but he would not take his mask off, and they would not let him in with a mask on.
I've heard
So
that story. I've heard
yeah,
that story. And
yeah,
isn't it ironic in our lifetime that two little southern states with rural background presidents, both Democrats, became president, and Jimmy Carter and then later Bill Clinton. So it's
yeah.
just ironic that that occurred. I had the opportunity to meet Johnny Walker when I first started with Nick. He came back to Nashville and without his mask, and got to meet him one night out at the Fairgrounds Arena. But of course, Johnny Walker, the man of 1,000 holes when he worked for Nick Goulas, ended up being Mr. Wrestling #2. His finishing move, though, was the high knee lift. You remember that?
I do. I know. Don't kid yourself. We did that in fifth grade recess so many times.
And you know where he got it? And this is a true story. Do you know who did the high knee lift as a finishing move in Nick's territory when Johnny Walker was here?
Hold on.
Former Coleman legislator, state senator, and
Tom Drake.
Tom Drake.
Okay. Okay.
All right, I'm back, everybody. This is Talking Memphis Wrestling. We're having a good time, and I am tickled out of my mind. Pat, Michael, and myself are back at you, back with you, right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling. This show again, and we missed last week. We missed Adam Dunn. He had work to go, and certainly Adam does a great job, and we couldn't do without him as well. As we will continue, and we don't have a lot of pictures left, maybe a dozen, and we'll go with this one. And this, Michael, is who?
Luthez and Sam Bass.
The great Sam Bass, who we've showed pictures of many times on this program. The next picture. This is a young Fuller, boys.
That is a very young Robert Fuller.
And I'm going to say that picture was taken at the Boutwell Auditorium in Birmingham, Alabama.
Cool.
I recognize the ropes.
That is cool, and that's a fantastic. Would you think 1970, 1971?
I bet it's earlier than that.
Yeah, it could be earlier than that, but right around that area.
Next picture, and this is pretty cool. This is from 1963. Monday night, January 23rd, 8:30 at the old Ellis Auditorium in Memphis, Tennessee. And Michael, I want you, because it's 3 matches listed, I was 2 years old at this point in life. Start with the opening match and go all the way up, and this is just something else. This is something else.
Promoted by Nick Goulas, Roy Welch, and John Regas.
Regas, a local guy, yes.
One of the nation's top mat stars. I'm wondering who they're referring to here. I don't know who Mr. Clean was. I do know who Alex Perez was, because he was in the territory quite a bit for Goulas Welch back in the day. A world championship tag match. The champions, Tojo Yamamoto and Professor Ito, against Herb Welch and Mario Milano. That must have been before Nick teamed them up, or Nick and Roy teamed Mario Milano up with Lynn Ross. So Herb Welch, an ultimate member of the Welch family that trained so many wrestlers, a real shooter, if you would. He and Mario Milano challenging Tojo Yamamoto and Professor Ito for the World Tag Team Championship. And the main event, the Tag Battle of the Year, NWA World Heavyweight Champion Gene Kiniski teaming with Don Green, no time limit, no disqualification, against the former NWA World Champion Luthez and the fabulous Jackie Fargo. Monday night, January 23rd, Auditorium Arena in Memphis, Tennessee, the old Ellis Auditorium. Matches start at 8:30. Don't miss it. Be there.
Pat, you always say when we show this card, if you would give anything if you could have been there. This is Luthez on this card, Jackie Fargo. This Tojo's on that card. Your thoughts on
That's
that?
got that's got to be a young Tojo, but yeah, I would love to have seen that because I think Luthez was pretty much not too far past his prime, if at all. And I've never seen a Luthez match that I've seen some of the later ones, but I've never seen one when he was, you know, not playing out the string, if you will.
Best advice I ever got the first time I ever met Luthez, and I believe Dennis Condrey told me this. He said, "Don't shake hands with him. Whatever you do, don't shake hands with him."
Strong guy, strong vice grip, and there's no doubt about that. 5173, as we're leading around. This is the Jet Set, Bobby Eaton, George Goulas, and an unknown tag team that I have no idea who that is. That's a great.
The Red Demon.
The Red Demons is who that is, Michael St. John says. As we follow that picture by 5177, and this is an interesting one. This is your old buddy. We did the Channel 12 graphic with Chattanooga TV. That's Harry Thornton, the original manager of the Stomper, Bearcat Wright. This I would have guessed is 1975 with that Southern Junior Heavyweight. You were talking about the Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship belt when I went outside earlier. The Mongolian Stomper, Bearcat Wright, and Harry Thornton. And Pat, your comments on that picture. And Archie, you just didn't see bodies like that those days.
No, you did not see bodies like that. And I never knew Bearcat Wright was a manager. But yeah, I'll tell you what, that's a sweet leisure suit jacket Harry Thornton's got on.
Yeah, he's styling and profiling.
Yeah, styling.
Michael, comments on that picture?
Honestly, I must have issues because of the cold here, but my internet just rebooted. I didn't see that picture. I apologize.
And it's up there now. This is Harry Thornton, Bearcat Wright, and the Mongolian Stomper wearing the Southern Heavyweight Championship. Are you seeing it now?
No, I've just got the three of us on stage.
Hey,
there it is. There it is. Yep,
Randy,
that's a good shot.
Yeah, Randy and Michael could Archie talk? Is that why they turned him into the Stomper?
He could talk. You watch his stuff from Calgary Wrestling. That's your assignment is to Google that when we go off the air. And yeah, he did a babyface. They killed him off. They switched him babyface in Memphis, and he was a Mongolian, and he couldn't talk and all that. They did an angle, and it was a great angle where Lawler turned on him, and then he did a fired-up interview, which exposed the fact that he wasn't a Mongolian. He did the best promo you've ever heard in your life, and I used to have that, and I wish I could find that, and we'll see if we can find it next week. But yes, he was a hell of an interview. But if anybody needed a manager with that gimmick, he did.
Exactly, and it was to cover up. It was to kayfabe the fact that he was Mongolian, and then, like you said, that promo stooged him off to the fans, and after that, it was over. Can I answer a question? Thomas Crown has said, "Who do you think the better all-around talent, Ron or Robert Fuller?" I think that's an interesting question to the panel.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
And we talked about that last week, right?
I don't remember, Randy. I don't think we did. I don't remember talking about that. I know Ron Fuller was bigger, and Robert was more the pretty boy, but they both could go.
Yeah, I knew Robert better personally. I don't dislike Ron. I just didn't. I met him once or twice in my life, and I've done thousands of miles on the car with Robert. So Robert is just a classic dude, and he loved his wacky backy, and he liked me doing the wacky backy with him. Bo James says they did the same thing in Knoxville. had him speak, and don't know why, because that's the thing. Stumper don't needs to talk, Michael, but I bet because he was so good at it, I bet he insisted on it. Would you say?
I don't know. He was a pretty go along with the plan, and I would find it hard to believe that he would demand that he talk, but that's just me. One other thing on the Robert and Ron thing, I always thought Ron was a better businessman, and Robert was a better talker. Just my thought.
Pat, do you have thoughts on who is best, Robert or Ron?
I saw Robert a lot more, because he and Jimmy Golden did a probably 2-year run in Birmingham as the 19-year-old white meat baby faces, and so I saw a lot more of him. I'll tell you, if you're interested in watching those two wrestle, Ron and he was on this. He was on Briscoe and Bradshaw for a couple of episodes, and he's probably had one of the greatest promotion careers of anybody all time. But there is a tape of them wrestling in the Mobile Civic Center for a title, and it is a very long match, and I think they're wrestling Bob Armstrong and somebody else, and it is outstanding work. I mean, it is as good a early to mid '80s serious wrestling work as you're ever going to see, if you can dig that up, and I know it's out there on YouTube. It's in the Mobile Civic Center.
I always loved the team of Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden. They were just classic. They were great in the back. They were wonderful in the ring. I will say this about Robert Fuller, and I have a lot of respect for Robert. He always had the hottest women in the locker room. Always the hottest women in the locker room.
And there's a reason for that this is a family show, and we will not get into that right now. We'll go right along to our next picture, and he is one of the greats, and we lost him too soon. There's no doubt about it. Our next picture, he is, oh yeah, the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
Great picture there. Your thoughts on Randy Savage, Pat?
It's been interesting to me, because when I and obviously he could work, and I'm too quick to write off WWE, particularly WWE in the WrestleMania 2, 3, 4, 5 years as cartoonish. But I have enjoyed very much, due to you, Randy, and our relationship here, being able to see a younger Randy Poffo in Memphis, and I knew about his baseball background, but my gosh, what an athletic wrestler that guy was.
Absolutely, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. We had a few more left as we go with the next picture. One of my favorite teams of all times, Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson. Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson. These are the Southeastern Tag Team Championship. The next picture, 51-81. And
those belts don't match.
Let's go back. No, they don't. That's Nick Goulas type of thing, and that was a Ron Fuller town. That's interesting. They don't match. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Let's go.
Think of Chris Ellis when I see those two.
He loves Chris Ellis' favorite tag team of all time. Michael, you got to help me with this one. I can identify them. It's 51-81. This is the fabulous Jackie Fargo and some fans. I don't know the referee, and just by reading it, but I don't have much. This is before my time. Do you know who that person is?
I want to say that's Irish Mike Clancy.
Yes, sir.
I never worked with him, met him. He was an elderly man, came through the area to say hello one evening. But he really, I think, got to be a big star. And in fact, did he not train Kevin Sullivan up in Boston?
You know, you're the expert on that. I have no idea.
I believe he had a gym up there, Michael, and I believe that's the case.
Yeah, and I remember that. I love that jacket, that Fargo jacket that he's got. It was always one of my favorites. And there was a couple of really nice Olin Mills shots of Jackie with his fist on his hips and
Yeah,
posing in that jacket. I love that jacket with Fargo.
with the shoulders pulled back. Yeah,
That and the New Year's Baby one straps that he and Sonny Fargo had. There was a publicity shot of Jackie and Sonny Fargo, and they looked like the new baby for the new year, if you would. And I always loved that. Love that. Fargo knew how to be a showman. That's for damn sure.
Randy Bowe's got some intel into those belts.
That's the Nick Gulas version of the Southeastern Championship, not the Knoxville version. So I appreciate that very much, Bo James. Next picture is we just have a couple of more to go, and we just saw that one. And this is the three Fargos together. Michael, Roughhouse, Jackie, and Don.
And again, for some reason, I'm not seeing that picture. I'm just seeing Fargo and Clancy again. Let me I'm afraid to refresh because I'm afraid it knocks me off. But no, I'm just for some reason they're staying up.
Okay, here's trivia while we're waiting. Which one's not the brother, Randy?
Don.
Okay.
There they are.
Okay.
I don't understand the problem. Is it the cold weather? Pat's just as cold as you are, and I'm colder. I'm 22
I have no idea. Now I've got the picture up there, and
he's
that's
up in the hills.
Yeah, I'm an Arab. We're only a century behind everybody else. That shot, I believe, was a Nick Gulas promo picture.
Do you think Scott Teal took that picture?
Probably.
Or Mike Duncan?
It could have been Mike, but I'm thinking that's probably Scott.
Great picture. And the final picture of the picture segment of the show is the fabulous Jackie Fargo. And I love that picture. He just looks like a star, Michael.
Indeed, he does. A little older, a little bigger there, but he still looks like the star. You know, I have often wondered in the era that Fargo in his era bigger than Lawler in his era? I've always wondered that, and I guess the fan bases could argue that, but was Fargo a bigger star in the territory? Of course, Lawler went national, and we all know how big he got, and well-deserved.
Well, Michael, Jackie went national. He wrestled for Vince Sr.
But then he came down here and didn't go back.
Yeah,
once he got here, he never went back. He did some stuff in the Carolinas, did a couple of shots in Florida. But once he got to Memphis and Nashville, and I talked to him at length about this one night. He loved this area, and they loved him. And that could be the same thing said for Lawler. But in his era, is Lawler a bigger star than Fargo in his area? And ironically, one trained the other.
Yeah, and you know, you're asking, we're at age, all three of us. I think we would probably lean on saying Fargo. I think the most of our audience would say Jerry Lawler. I think it's dependent on who you ask, without a doubt. I think because I didn't see Fargo as a heel, even though him and Donnie and Roughhouse 2 were great heels. I've just seen Lawler basically from day one to day last, his last match. So I'm biased toward Lawler, and I just don't think in the ring there's much better than Jerry Lawler. And I've watched Lawler's heel run. My favorite era of Jerry Lawler is probably 73, maybe through 77. But it's a fair question. Pat, do you think it depends on the age of the person?
You know, there was a passing of the torch from Fargo to Lawler. In my mind, I'm not sure there's a Lawler without Jackie Fargo. I do think, you know, and maybe because I lived through Lawler. Jackie is some more, I think, in lore of a legendary character, which is a ridiculous thing to say when you're talking about Jerry Lawler in Memphis. Uh, but I guess it depends on just how old you are.
Richard
So,
Hood says, guys, what's the deal with Roughhouse Fargo refereeing with Crockett and wrestling in Memphis? First of all, Roughhouse Fargo was not a big guy, and he was not that Roughhouse Fargo character would come in when he was visiting Jackie in Nashville or Memphis and that sort of thing. A boy got to make a living, Michael. He got to make a living, and he wasn't going to make a living in the Carolinas as a wrestler. So he was a hell of a referee as Sonny Fargo.
but he refereed for the Crockett's for 25 years, I think.
Yeah, and the Roughhouse Fargo character was Jackie would call in his brother from the nut house and bring him in. It wouldn't have worked every week. If he would have been here 52 weeks out of the year, that wouldn't have worked. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. But also on the front end of that, when the Fargo brothers first came down from New York and Sonny started wrestling with Jackie and with the bleach blonde hair and the same outfits and all that stuff, Sonny had a little bit of a high flyer about him. He was the one that would throw the drop kick, and of course Jackie could too. But Sonny was sort of the Jackie was the rough brute guy, and Sonny was the guy that was more finesse. I had heard, and I don't know where I heard this, but I think somewhere down the line, Sonny got hurt and broke. I don't think he broke his leg or got a broken bone in the ring, and it sort of soured him. And then he went toward the referee thing. And like you said, he was an icon as a referee in the Carolinas, almost like Bronco Yalupich was for the Von Erichs in Dallas. And once his wrestling career over, everybody knew him as the referee.
Let's go ahead, and Pat, I want you to read it. Let's go ahead, Adam, and put Tony Richards' latest comment up there. I want to say hello to Joe Mobley, my friend from NEA Hospital and McDonald's in Jonesboro. And here's Pat Trammell, the original guy here, and he's high on Tony Richards' stuff, and he's weighing in. Tony, we want you to email me at randybittenhales@gmail.com, and Pat Trammell is going to read his reaction to the debate of Fargo and Lawler. Here's Pat Trammell.
Well, Tony points out that it's not really a fair competition because of their, if it's a competition at all, that Fargo's career was in two parts, and there was a big chunk of his prime missing, particularly in Memphis, and Lawler had one long interrupted career and had bigger houses. Jerry Lawler's had a career that I don't think, and I don't mean this as being over. I mean a wrestler that has spent 95%, and I don't think I'm overemphasizing 95% of his career in a 5-mile area in one city. So they both had very different careers.
I'm wondering too, if Fargo, he talks about the interruption in his career. Was that when he was trying to become a singer and he owned part of the radio station in West Memphis and did the DJ? Is that what he's referring to? Because I remember Fargo from the mid 60s, certainly maybe from the early 60s, wrestling in this area up until he moved to Carolina, and then, would do shots, if you would, in our territory.
You know what? I think what he's talking about is that he was in the New York area and part of the Fargos and national TV and all that in the early days, and then once in the late 50s, early 60s, whenever it was, he came to Memphis, then he basically didn't go anywhere else, and I think that's what Tony's saying. We have one more segment to do on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Hey, Randy, Bo makes a good point about Roughhouse too. That he wrestled, he said he has a good run in Kingsport, but as the fabulous Sonny Fargo, and there was some of that in Atlanta that I remember from the early 70s.
Okay.
Tony's just commented, and thank you, Tony. He says, yes, he was out of the Memphis territory from 67 to 71, and Jerry Jarrett talked him back into it. I think that was about the time in his career that he went to KWAM, and I think he was part owner of that radio station over in West Memphis and was a DJ in the afternoons, and then was doing a singing thing back then too. So I think, yeah, you're right. He got away from wrestling.
And 1971 was when wrestling moved from the Ellis Auditorium downtown Memphis to the Mid-South Coliseum. And of course, the first sellout was in August of 72. We talked to Big Al about Big Al Green and showed that picture earlier of Big Al Green, but Jackie Fargo Al Green, the first sellout at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. And of course, last week on Talking Memphis Wrestling, we showed the picture that I don't think I have up there. I usually clean up the graphics every week, but we had a concert of Eddie Bond and Jackie Fargo. Hey, we're going to take a final break as we re-show the opening of Talking Memphis Wrestling, a classic, not talked about period of Jerry Lawler's career when he was babyface, when he came back after Valiant's appearance and he had a 2-year run, he switched heel. After we take a short break, our last break on Talking Memphis Wrestling, we'll return with the heel turn of Jerry Lawler in 1979, and we'll watch that next when we come back in 20 seconds.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
I get chills every time I see that, whether it's America's favorite sport on WHBQ television, into the classic TV5 opening, and that wonderful statue that we have on the back of my set right here, and Michael has it on his set back there, and Pat's going to try to steal him one. This is 1979. This is Classic Lawler switching heel. I hadn't watched this in years. I didn't preview it, and I hope it's what it's labeled. This is 4 minutes, 32 seconds, 1979, and here we go on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Obviously on a draw, Nick Bockwinkel retained his world heavyweight title, but Jerry Lawler fired away at him, wasn't any question about it. And Bockwinkel did the same thing in return. He fired it back. I want to bring out the guy that was the challenger in that particular instance. And we're talking about the King, Jerry Lawler, who did indeed make a valiant effort to take the title away from Nick Bockwinkel. But
first of all, let me say I'm glad to see your back,
well,
especially
you,
after
Jerry.
seeing your front.
Oh.
Let me ask you one other thing. Did you hear that the court just made a ruling that they're going to have to make the Lone Ranger take his mask off? If they ever see you, they're going to make a ruling where you have to wear a mask. You realize that?
You're in rare form today. I hear it.
That's right, baby.
Okay.
When I beat the world heavyweight champion, I am in rare form, and I guess you saw it right there, didn't you?
Well, I saw what could be interpreted, I'm certainly by you, as a win over the champion. He still has
could
the
be
belt.
Interpreted. It was
He
a
still has
1,
the
2,
belt.
3. That's right. It took me a couple of minutes longer than I anticipated, but what can you expect? I was fighting 2 world champions that night. Not only Nick Bockwinkel, the world heavyweight wrestling champion, but Tommy Marlin, the world heavyweight cheating referee. That was 2 against 1, and I'm telling this to everybody that was at the Mid-South Coliseum. In your heart, you know I'm right, baby. That guy cheated me out of the World Heavyweight Championship. And let me tell you why, Lance Russell. You know why? Do you know who Tommy Marlin is? You know he don't referee around here all the time. You know why? Well, let me tell you why. Because his brother is Eddie Marlin. Now, do you know who Eddie Marlin is? Eddie Marlin is Jerry Jarrett's father-in-law. Now, this all seems to be a little convenient family affair, doesn't it? Jerry Jarrett puts Tommy Marlin in there because he don't want me to be the world heavyweight champion. I realize that. Jerry Jarrett knows that if I was the world's heavyweight champion, I'd have to leave here, and he could see his little candy castle come crumbling down, baby. He knows without the king around here, he'd go right in the dumper. That's why he put Tommy Marlin in there. That's why I was cheated out of the world's heavyweight championship. But in spite of all of that, I still did what no man on earth has been able to do, and that's beat Nick Bockwinkel. What do you think about that, Banana Nose?
Well, when 60 minutes is up, 60 minutes is up, and that is exactly.
Yeah, and when a man gets his shoulders pinned to the mat, he gets them pinned to the mat. And you saw it just like all of the rest of you idiots out there saw it. I beat Nick Bockwinkel. Now, let me ask you something else. When Dundee wrestled Nick Bockwinkel, he got knocked out, baby. He got sent down to Dreamland. And Jerry Jarrett was so proud of Bill Dundee, he took the film of that little sawed-off runt out to Arizona, showed it to the president of the AWA, and they granted Bill Dundee a rematch. But do you think that he's called the president of the AWA after I beat Nick Bockwinkel? Do you think he wants to show him that film? Do you think he wants a rematch for me? Oh, no, baby. Just like I said, Jerry Jarrett don't want me to be the world's champion because he can kiss me goodbye, baby. And old Moneybags Jarrett, Tightwad Jarrett, he don't want to see me leave from here. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to get my rematch with Bockwinkel. I'm going to get it one way or other, and that's a promise, brother.
Well, I hear it. Jerry Jarrett is a promoter. His business is of putting in the matches that the people want to see, and if he can put in another match with
Nick
Nick
knows they
Bockwinkel.
Want to see the king. You think anybody would pay to come down and see a sawed-off runt? Bug-eyed Bill Dundee? No, they come to see me, baby. Let me tell you something about Bill Dundee. I want to say a few words about Bill Dundee.
You wait a minute.
I don't
You're
have to
here
wait
talking.
for nothing.
Bill Dundee, I got a tape from him that had a few things to say about Jerry Law.
Before you show that tape, let me tell you something. Bill Dundee, the little sawed-off runt, he's got the Southern Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, now, do you think he'd put that up on the line Monday night?
Well,
do you think for 1 minute that Bill Dundee wants to risk that belt against me? No way, baby. I called Jerry Jarrett. I said, put that belt up. Get Dundee to put that belt up.
If you'll close
That
it down
Dundee's
just
such
a
a
minute,
big
let's
coward.
take a
He
look.
knows when he puts that belt up against me, he can kiss it goodbye,
You
baby.
just keep quiet a minute and take a listen to what Bill Dundee had to say. Be fair about it.
Why ain't he here today to say it? Huh?
Well, he is not here today.
Yeah,
but I
you know
do
why?
have a
Because
video.
I am here. That's
Okay,
why he
Let's
ain't here.
roll the tape in there and take a listen to what Bill Dundee had to say.
Jerry.
Pat, was that the first time you had ever seen that footage?
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen it, but you know, it's true. Lawler was right.
Right about what? Dundee being a shrimp or Jarrett being a cheap
No,
ass
Jarrett not wanting him to have the belt because he would have to go away from the territory.
I think that promo was half shoot, half work.
I agree.
That's the best kind. Just a great video today, and may go a little over time, but we went 30 minutes early last night. One of my favorite teams that, to me, was a team that just unbelievable. That was beautiful Bobby Eaton and Sweet Brown Sugar Coco Ware. In the early 80s, there was a match at the Mid-South Coliseum. It's 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Then we'll wrap up the show with final thoughts after this. But I thought people would like this match. Bill Dundee and future fantastic Bobby Fulton against Bobby Eaton and Sweet Brown Sugar. It's 12 minutes and 5 seconds from the Mid-South Coliseum as we watch now.
Well, as we get underway with this one, to explain to you what all that was about, we've got beautiful Bobby Eaton and Sweet Brown Sugar. The first family's pride and joy with Jimmy Hart in the corner going against Bobby Fulton and Bill Dundee. Dundee was starting out against Eaton. Eaton came over to
Referee
him
Paul
and
Morton.
said, why don't you bring Fulton in if he's such a tough young kid? Bring him in and let him start. So promptly, Fulton and Dundee switch places. Bobby is starting against Bobby. That is Fulton against Eaton. And thus far, Eaton has had the better of it. Eaton will outweigh him by about 13 pounds. Eaton
Looks
from
like Bobby
Huntsville,
Fulton was
Alabama,
trying to look
Fulton
like
from
Bill
Columbus,
Dundee in this era.
Mississippi.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it
Mississippi
was
from
Dundee.
Columbus, Ohio. Whoa, and Fulton down hard on the deck. Eaton over the top. Nice hip toss from Fulton. A second one, and he's right after him. Big body slam. Now that's aggressiveness. Fulton's learning it. Boy, he's picking it up. And he's telling Eaton, why don't you come back out? Dundee called him off a second, said something to him. About this time, what you better do is look out.
How much did you work Michael St. John with Bobby Fulton?
And Sugar didn't get
well, quite a bit. Of course, in that historic 6-week run in Chattanooga, they were the Fantastics. They brought him and help me out here, Bobby Fulton and
Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor initially, and then they replaced Taylor when he went north, and Tommy Rogers came in.
And that was for years. That was in Mid-South Wrestling in Texas, all over, and a great team for sure. Al Tullis, Eaton, and Coco were really good together. I thought that was Dundee as well, so you're on the right thoughts there.
Let me ask you this question. Of all tag teams that are around today, how many times do you get 4 guys in the ring that can work the way these 4 guys can?
That's what I was thinking.
Strolling around the ring.
And that's why I wanted to show this match. We don't show a lot of 12-minute matches, and we show angles and interviews and that sort of thing. Michael, do you think this, in some aspects, Memphis for an in-ring product is underrated?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the style, I mean, you look at the style here, the way the guys go now, they're working. I mean, I don't see any rest holes in this. I mean, this is Memphis brawling, which is the trademark of Memphis Wrestling.
Big backdrop. Fulton took him up,
and Bobby Fulton, Bobby Eaton, one of the best of all time. You saw that bump, and this action continues. A lot of times you think, even way back in the early 80s, it was a slow pace style. This is not slow pace, Pat.
No, it's not. From the ring they got, from the open bell they got after each other.
And think about this too. There's not a wrestler in the ring that is more than 100 or 225 pounds. I mean, the biggest of all of them, I guess, is Coco, and I think Coco's only running about 225 right here.
Billy and Sweet Brown Sugar.
There's not anybody over 5'11" either.
That's true. And in the WWE, this would be a midget match, right?
Yeah.
He missed Dundee as Bill
about 8,000 people, looks like to me, at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee.
He kept from breaking a shoulder.
A lot of the old standbys.
He hit that concrete floor.
I think,
firm.
Maybe this isn't popular opinion. A lot of people say that the greatest in-ring tag team of all time was the Midnight Express, whether it was Stan Lane and Bobby or Dennis Condrey and Bobby. I think Coco and Bobby Eaton,
Brown Sugar down hard.
Just match-wise, and Coco coming into his own there before he put weight in. I love Eaton there's the spot where the elbow spot, and that's interesting as well. But do you like Michael, Bobby, and Coco together?
Loved them working together. And again, they were young, but both of them could go. And I mean, look at this. I mean, they're fluid. They don't miss anything. They got the people, and they're throwing babies in the air. This is an incredible example of Memphis tag team wrestling.
Standing side.
This is a wrestling match. I don't think there's a heated angle behind this. Just 4 guys that's over, or they're trying to get Bobby Fulton over. I'm not sure how much over. Being in the ring with Dundee gets him over, Michael.
Absolutely, and again, he was, like you say, coming into his own. You made a statement about the Midnight Express, and I will grant you they are a great tag team. I always thought Condrey and Eaton worked better than Eaton and Stan. I thought Stan was a better partner when he was part of the Fabulous Ones, and I always thought that Stan was a great wrestler. But I got to say, and here's another competition or another scenario that we could talk ad nauseum on. Better manager, Jimmy Hart, Jimmy Cornette.
I think for the Memphis territory, Jimmy Hart fit good. They were a fairly top of the card. I think going in, I think Cornette was the right person for Mid-South Wrestling and the right person for WCW or Jim Crockett Promotions. So I think both are great.
I always thought that Jimmy Hart had a little bit more showmanship and on-stage presence, and I would think that because he was a singer at one time, versus Jimmy, who I think was raised, born, bred, and literally lives and dies wrestling. I think that was to me the difference between the two of them. Jimmy was made into the business where Jimmy Hart was made into the business where Jimmy Cornette was born into the business.
Dundee takes a tag, comes
and I think even though Hart for sure had heat, but Cornette didn't give that opportunity in Memphis because Hart was the main manager. But in Louisiana, record business, and Jim Crockett Promotion, record business, they're just different types of talent.
Absolutely. And I remember Jimmy debuting in Chattanooga with us, and I said this to Jimmy, to Bill Dundee, after the first time I had him on an interview and a promo, and we had him in the matches and all. And I think Bill Dundee agreed that he was going to be one of the greatest managers of all time. You could feel him. He just had it.
Good tag team work by Bobby and Bill, even though they weren't the established tag team, but doing a great job. Our audience didn't get to see our private chat, and Adam is very impressed with this tag team match, and it's an art, and this is the way tag team matches. As Adam says, every movement makes sense, and this is why, Michael, Memphis used to be called the tag team capital of the world.
Brown Sugar to come out of the corner.
Exactly, and the fact is, again, this has been all action. I mean, this is the biggest lull in the match there has been. But it's been all wrestling. It hasn't been high wire acts and people off the flying trapeze and doing stunts and spots. Doing stunts and spots.
I love that heat spot that they just did.
I did too.
Into the rope, Bobby grabbed the hair and then
got a pop there.
You don't see tag team matches like this anymore. And now they go with the heat. Bobby Fulton, we got two Bobbies in the ring. Fulton's selling, Dundee comes over, it's out of his corner. This is textbook tag team wrestling right here.
And in the ring, if you notice, the turnbuckles are unforgiving in this ring. You look at the turnbuckles today, they're 16-ounce boxing gloves. But back then, they were tapes wrapped around steel and hose pipe.
All the way around the corner, poking that stick at Dundee. Bobby Fulton taking a pasting.
And Bobby young in the business, a couple of years probably, and doing a great job and looked good in the beginning, and now we go with the heat, setting up Dundee. But Bobby's not dying at all. He is fighting and fighting and fighting, and that's how you keep the people with you. He is in trouble, but he's not giving up. He's fighting back. Am I making sense, Pat?
Yeah, I think that's right.
He's selling, not dying.
That's right. That's a great phrase.
Textbook. You were mentioning the match between the Armstrongs and Golden and Fuller earlier, Pat. This is textbook with younger players.
Yeah.
By Bobby Eaton.
And again, this is the first heel tag team, but I don't remember Angle. Could be wrong on that, but this is just a good match on the card to set up the main event. So this is probably, I would guess, Michael, third from the top.
I would think so. Third, maybe second, but third from the top sounds right. And the people are into it.
Sugar on on Fulton while Eaton was nailing Bill
Love
Dundee.
seeing Bald Eagle Paul Morton refereeing this match.
11 minutes, 20 seconds. Sugar kicks Dundee off the ring apron, so it's Bobby Fulton having to face the two of them for a moment by himself. Tag on Eaton. Beautiful Bobby comes in as Dundee, shaking the cobwebs out, heads back to the ring apron. Double elbow. And here comes Bill helping out. Boy, look at him go. Jimmy Hart up on the ring apron himself, and Dundee chasing him. But while that's going on, Fulton is put down kind of 1,
Perfect
2,
finish.
3. And Bobby Fulton is down. I didn't see
Get the
the
heat
actual
on
event. Watching
Bobby.
go
Dundee
after
made the
Hart.
comeback
But I
without
do
a
know who
tag.
the
That
winner is.
kept
Sweet
Bobby-
Sugar and beautiful Bobby Eaton will
that
win
kept
it in
Bobby
12 minutes, 11
Fulton the
seconds.
legal
Eaton
guy,
and
and
Sugar
that's who
are
you'd
the
want
winners
to.
in
That's who you would want to beat, and it's just amazing. As we're a couple of minutes past our regular go time, it's been a thrill to have the reunion of Adam, Michael St. John, myself, and Pat Trammell. Final thoughts on today's show, and hopefully we can get Tony Richards on this show pretty quick. I want you to work on that. Hopefully he'll send me an email. Anyway, final thoughts, Pat Trammell. This has been fun.
It has been fun. It's been great to be back and great to see everybody. So great to see everybody. And I think I'm good for here on out, depending on basketball playoffs. But I really have enjoyed being back. And thank you all so much for watching us and supporting Randy and being part of our family.
Very good. Michael, we want to get your final thoughts as the crew is back together again.
Boy, it's always great when you get the band back together again. And Pat, I love this show from start to finish. We could go another hour. I love this show. Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you do, Randy, and behind the scenes for what Adam Dunn does. You guys are fabulous. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. And I've got to go to Montgomery. They're doing some. The state Senate and state House are looking into the AHSAA and some of the things that they're forcing on broadcast. And I've been asked to go down to Montgomery, so I'm going to have to do that this coming week. But hopefully, Pat, I'll come through there and see you. And of course, Randy, it's long overdue. We need to get together.
All right. Man, this has been fun. Sunday was the Randy House Show. I was snowed in. Monday was the special Power Pro Wrestling. We will do a Power Pro show once a month, and we'll try to do that on Mondays once a month. We started it last night. We'll be back in February, and we have a show. Adam has a show already picked out, and that is great as well. Remember, everybody, my email address is randyhills, Memphis Wrestling. .com or Randy Hills here. Randy Hills, Memphis. What is my email address? Randy Bittenhills. Man, I'm so excited I can't even think about it. It's Randy Bittenhills at gmail.com. Do that. Also, guys, we would love any support of this show, and Adam throughout most shows he runs the crawler because you can do it by Venmo. You can buy a book. You can go to Cash App. There's many ways to do it, and we appreciate your support. For Pat Trammell, for the great Michael St. John, and Pat Trammell is great as well. This is Randy Hills for Adam Dunn. We're all on the screen except for Adam, and we're staying with the Lance Russell microphone. Bye-bye, everybody.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales. and special guests.